Good morning. In this video, I am going to be talking about what we should be expecting students to do during this fourth section of the digital notebook or our third week in the unit. Here is an overview. We have no school today, and then we have 4 full days this week. And this week will be dedicated to section 4, with the hope that students will understand divergent boundaries, but divergent boundaries as they relate to systems as a whole. So we were looking at what happens when plates come together, or convergent boundaries. And now we need to emphasize that if one side is converging, then the other side must be diverging. And so we are going to be looking at that other side this week. So to begin, we're going to go roughly pages 34 to 38 on Tuesday. So students will be getting their table of contents. They are going to be reading an overview of the section, writing down the essential question, and defining systems. So this may be a good time for you to have a launch of some sort of a systems video to help students understand the idea that there are lots of pieces working together, and whatever happens in one area is going to ultimately influence all of the other areas within the system. Next, students will be looking at this map of earthquake and volcano data. And let's go ahead and erase that. They will use the scribble tool to draw or trace the outline of the South America plate, and then explain why they did that. What was their evidence? And so hopefully students will know that South America is sort of sandwiched within these earthquakes and volcanoes. And so that would indicate that that is where the plate boundary is. And let's see, we are going to page 38. Okay. So then here, what's happening at the boundary in the Atlantic Ocean. So this is going to be the opposite side of the South American plate, or the South America plate, where we were looking at the formation of the Andes Mountains. So now here's the opposite side of it, and students are going to be looking at this geological profile, or geographic rather profile, and figuring out what's going on. And they will end the day with this page where they have a Tectonic Explorer. This is where they're introduced to the idea that all of the plates on Earth have names, and that the surface is all covered with these plates. So they're going to read this, explore the Tectonic Explorer. Here is an outline of the South American plate. Drew, I've labeled the continent for you. And then they're going to answer questions about the plate boundary on the Atlantic Ocean side, and then on the Andes Mountain side. And then they're going to be putting an X, so they will need to add a text box, or an arrow or something, where they think the plate boundary exists over here on this side. All right, so to get there, you will need to make this right here an active link. All right, so then we get into Tuesday, and we're going into the mid-ocean ridges. So they're going to be looking at the East Pacific Rise, watching this video over here, answering a question, thinking about the different elevations. We go into what is going on when plates are separating, and they're going to be able to see this cool video of these like pillow lava that forms. Talk about it right here. And then we get into the Three Sisters. You know, I had it as Three Amigos, and then I got to thinking, I'm not sure if that is culturally insensitive or not, but I figured, why would I even, if it was any sort of doubt in my mind, why would I do it? So I changed it to the Three Sisters. All right, so they're going to read this, mark the text. I can put some highlight bars in there, and then answer these questions. Okay, and then we're going to 41. Yeah, so there's the end of that day. So again, we're getting into the whole divergent boundaries. All right, so then on, let's see, Thursday, will be getting into transform boundaries. So they're going to read, look at this picture, read these captions. Here's a map of where it's at, and explain what they think is going on. Then they will go and investigate. Again, you'll need to add a link here. Respond to the questions. And we've got all of Earth plates. So here they're now seeing that every single plate is here, and it's got, well, not in this view, but anyway, on Earth, and they have names, and they are going to explore here. So please make sure that you add the link. Answer these questions. And then finally, and this is where they're going to want to spend the majority of their time, there's a very cool Tectonic Explorer activity where there are 5 different plates, and students are going to get to see what's going on. And again, the emphasis is if we've got 2 plates that are moving away from each other, so if we have a divergent boundary happening here, what is happening on the other side? So we're getting to this idea that if something is pulling apart, the other side, it's got to be pushing together. Okay, so that's really getting at the systems piece. So you just want to make sure to emphasize that, and it's all right here. So this is going to be the piece that you really want to check and make sure that students have an understanding. Friday, they are going to be doing their systems summary chart and updating their initial models. So you're going to want them to be going back to their initial models. I will provide some sentence frames on sort of ways that students can use language to update their models. So there are different ways to change models. Um, they might reject an idea that they had. They might update an idea that they have. They might verify that something that they had was accurate, but they need to add something to it. So there are sentence starters for that. And with that model, in general, you want to basically use Post-its, and you could do that digitally. For my class, a lot of students have misplaced their initial models, but I do feel comfortable putting forward a class consensus model. So I will make a model that I put on the computer based on what most kids were thinking, and then we can update that as a class. All right, so that's going to end the week. Next week, of course, is only just a couple of days going into powering the plates. And I'm feeling okay about not giving as much time because this is the idea of gravity, convection, and conduction. Really, we don't even need to get too much into the conduction. And since we have gone over that, in a lot of detail in the weather unit, I really think that we'll only need a couple of days for that. And then you have a couple of days for your final assessment. So we'll need to talk at our next meeting about what do we want that final assessment to look like, particularly since it is at the end of the year for students. All right, I hope this helps, and I hope you have a great week. As always, please don't hesitate to reach out with questions.